the sort of incidents that we're seeing, some are blatant. Last night on the show, I spoke about a Jewish man who was bashed in a park when it was still daylight in Sydney, a brutal attack. There's also the boycotting of Jewish businesses. There's blatant anti-Semitism online. Are you worried about where all of this could lead to?
I know where all of this could lead to if we don't all, and I mean every Australian of whatever background, takes a step to stop it leading there, because we know that hatred, anti-Semitism is a hatred, it's a hatred of the Jews, but we know that hatred is a contagion. And if you allow hatred to be normalised, if you allow hatred to spread in the community, it completely undermines the structure and the culture of the community. And from what is a wonderful country can become a divisive and rather nasty place. And that is what we want not to happen in this country.
Now, you and your mother were miraculously saved on your way to a concentration camp during the Second World War. You managed to escape. I know you don't want to talk about that time, so I'm not going to take you back there. But, you know, do you think that Australians, men, particularly on the left, do you think they don't understand, they don't know the history of what Jews have been through? Do you think this is the problem?
I think that's part of the problem. I think there are a lot of complexities here. We have the complexities of what happened in the Holocaust, which are not sufficiently well taught in schools, and even if they are, not everyone pays attention. We have the complexities and the nuances of what is going on in the Middle East, which are extremely difficult to understand. And I think for a lot of people, the easy way out is to take the populist view. They look at the demonstrations, they look at the numbers and they think, oh, they must know what they're doing. Well, that isn't always the case, and I would ask every person who's watching this program, listen to words, listen to what people say, make up your own mind, try to be well informed, because it's very hard to hate when you know and understand both sides.
Look, one thing I really want to ask you about are the calls for a ceasefire that we are seeing right around the world, including by the United Nations. Even Joe Biden, even our own Prime Minister, has asked for a pause, a temporary ceasefire from Israel against Hamas. You know, you compare that to the Nazis. Can you imagine if there would have been a ceasefire to allow the Nazis to regroup?
Well, as you so succinctly point out, that would not have been a viable option. But I think there's more to it than that. There actually have been ceasefires. If I'm not mistaken, there was a 5-hour ceasefire recently, just today, or time frames are different, where people with white vests allowed people to go through, allowed for help to go through. So there are these small ceasefires. But the real thing about a ceasefire is to ceasefire to allow what to happen. Will that mean the hostages will all be freed? Will that mean that Hamas will say, no, we will not come in on the Sabbath morning of a holiday and slaughter your people? Is that what a ceasefire entails? Because if it does, then I think yes. But if it does not, then what will the ceasefire look like? That's the answer I need.
Nina, I think a lot of people who aren't Jewish maybe don't understand that the trauma that you went through, your mother went through, is often intergenerational. And so the anti-Semitism that we're seeing now is so deeply traumatic for the whole community, but particularly for you and the 101 other survivors who have signed that letter, all of the Holocaust survivors around the world. Can you tell me a bit about how you've been coping, how you've been dealing with the trauma over the past month, and whether it's just reawakened all of that suffering that you went through when you were a child?
It's a very difficult question because there's so much happening that it's hard to isolate what it is that's traumatizing. The war is traumatizing in every aspect. The anti-Semitism is hugely traumatizing. But my greatest fear is for the younger generation, for not so much my children, who are robust and have understood the situation and how anti-Semitism can pervade society, but children of my grandchildren's generation, they are coming across a hatred that they could never have envisaged in Australia, and that nothing in their life has prepared them for it. That is what is hitting me the hardest.
Yeah. Nina Bassat, it's been really sad but wonderful and lovely to hear your voice. Thank you for taking part tonight and in the article today, and let's hope that this improves, because it is truly devastating.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nina.